Take a deep breath. Feel your body resting against the chair. If you're sitting next to someone, please introduce yourself and take turns asking each other the following questions. If you're by yourself, please ponder the questions on your own. What is utopia to you? In books, philosophy, and popular culture, utopia has long been considered a perfect place or time far off from our current reality, something unattainable in our lifetime. What if, instead, utopia is experienced in tiny moments at a time, banal, ideal moments on both an internal and interpersonal level? What does it feel like to consider this possibility? If it were true that we can consider these everyday, small, ideal moments as utopic, would you live your life differently? How might you treat yourself and those around you? I'm Susan Stainman. I live and work in Brooklyn, New York, and I am an interdisciplinary artist. I make work about connection and interdependence that's often through wearable or participatory fabric-based sculpture. I'm creating objects that facilitate some sort of interaction between two or more people. For me, there's something about emotions and the body, and giving people not just like a visual sense of an emotion, but like a embodied sense of that emotion as well. This is called Poised for Intimacy, and it's two chairs hinged together. You can close it and lock it, and then it's like an unusable object. You can open it and it comes all the way, like the hinges, you can open it as wide as you want. And so when two people sit facing one another, your knees end up kind of touching. There's like this awkward proximity that happens. Then each chair has like a little pocket, and inside the pocket is written instructions that guide you through a mindful conversation. Intimacy is both beautiful and sometimes a little awkward. You're on the edge in your interaction, and so when you're forced into this close proximity with people, it's like a physicalization of that emotional situation. So that's why a couple of the pieces have this kind of forced closeness. I'll have an idea of a specific interaction that I want, thinking about someone hugging someone, or thinking about how do you facilitate an intimate conversation between two people. What's a physical way to facilitate two bodies being in space together that would create the conditions for an intimate conversation? The definition of mindfulness is being aware moment to moment of what's happening. So like that's your internal experience and then what's happening externally to you without judgment. I use that a lot in my practice itself of looking around me as a way to gain inspiration. I use that sense of mindfulness, particularly mindfulness of body, as a way of thinking about the experience that I want my audience to have. And I think we tend to, particularly in art, but I think in our life in general, we kind of intellectualize. And so rather than wanting to understand first, I want wanting to understand comes second. Really concentrating on the senses as a way to experience first and then think second. So my research and development is like how I get my brain in the mood to make work, or how, when I'm stuck, what do I do to change the way I'm thinking and to generate ideas. My works are very much reflective of life, and so it's important for me to be in life in order to have ideas. This is the portable bench for lingering conversations. I was thinking about kind of the idea of you're walking down the street, you see someone you know or someone you want to talk to, and it's the space of a sidewalk isn't really a space of lingering conversation. So it was just kind of like a silly idea. I thought, oh, well, what if you could just wear something that you could fold out and have a longer conversation with someone? So I built it. When I think about someone enjoying the work, I do think there is an aesthetic quality, like it's a sculpture. I have a sculptural art education background, so that is still like ingrained in me, like an object and what it looks like and its composition. And that is a tension in my work of like, what does it look like when it's not being used, and how does it exist as a formal object, and then how does it exist as a usable object? And so they are both. I don't give preferential treatment to one or the other. They exist in tension and they exist together. Art spaces aren't the most conducive to people interacting, like touching the work, feeling like they can pick it up. Having multiple layers of permission and then also instruction about how to interact with it, I think is helpful and is important to give to people who I want to use the work. But if you come into a gallery and you see like the belt on the wall, well, what is it? What are you supposed to do with it? And if it's called belts for being together apart, that gives you some indication of its usage. And so I think that's just a helpful instruction. When I'm not making art or teaching meditation, I'm also an organizer. And I don't think my work is political, but I do think that I have thought a lot about, I think a lot about what I would like the world to look like. And it seemed really important to me that my work is about looking in that direction and pointing to that direction rather than pointing at what I don't like. I think we all want certain things about the way the world could be. And part of like my meditation practice and my organizing work is about like, how do I embody that? And so my art is about like, how do I create that experience in which people can embody? I stopped using the word utopia because it was too loaded. Obviously there are some works that still reference the word because it became a barrier to people intellectualizing. That people hear the word utopia and they have a very specific idea of what that is. And I spent so much time kind of getting them away from that and into like, okay, well, what's happening right now? That I just decided that it was easier to just drop the word. Utopia is not fixed. It's a direction. We're never gonna reach perfection. I don't think there is such a thing as perfection when you get to how messy large groups of people are. Can we exist in like a true equitable, multicultural society rather than like silos? Yes. Can we start to move in that direction? Yes. I think some of that comes from like learning how to be with each other differently. Take a deep breath. Once again, notice your body resting against the chair. Over the past week, have you experienced a moment in your everyday life that felt ideal or utopic? If so, what happened in that moment? How did you feel in your body during that experience? Thank your conversation partner for sharing their thoughts and feelings. Take a deep breath. Enjoy the rest of your day.